Welcome to Telco Tuesday, where me, James Dodkins, and Mark Jackson talk all things telco. I've spent my career helping brands like Disney, Lego, Adobe, Nike, and Mercedes turn their customers into fans. And Mark has spent his helping brands like Vodafone, Virgin Media, Telefonica, and BT use technology to become the telcos of tomorrow. We're going to be discussing topics to help telcos unlock significant business value through successful digital transformation. The conversation is live, raw, and unfiltered. Welcome to Telco Tuesday. And we are live, it seems. So, we were like a minute or two late today. It's because we've got something very special planned behind the scenes, and that is the ability to hear and see each other. That's what we managed to...
Yes, we did have a problem with that, didn't we, just coming up? But yeah, we're there now, yes.
Good. So, what I want to know is, where are you today, Mark?
Well, I'm in an actual office. Yeah. So I'm here in Pega Towers in Reading, with a wonderful Reading. So yeah. And I thought I'd now we're starting to meet people and that sort of thing. It's quite nice. It's right nice. Yeah.
Beautiful.
So I've got my jacket on as well. Look at that. Yeah.
I'm in my new mansion, as you can see.
Yeah, I was wondering. I was going to ask you what you've been doing since I last spoke to you. But it looks like you've moved. Yeah.
Yeah,
right?
busy winning the lottery.
Yeah.
And
no,
this is a virtual background because I still haven't moved. So I still haven't managed to see all these different telcos, how good they are at changing my address. I haven't managed that yet. This is a virtual background, albeit a very nice one. It's just, there's boxes and things that you don't want to see.
All right, I see. Yeah. Well, we can't blame the telco for your inability to move so far, can we? So we'll have to talk about your customer experience later, won't we, on that one? Yeah.
We will. Yeah. So if you are watching live, welcome to Telco Tuesday, where me and Mark Jackson talk all things telco. I'm James Dodkins. You may know me as the Customer Experience Rockstar, which was a title bestowed on me by myself. But you'll also know Mark Jackson too, who is a telco titan. Yeah, I think that's good, isn't it?
Oh, that's good. Yeah. I wondered where you were going with that for a minute. Yeah. So, and is that? Can I talk about that as a title you bestowed upon me? No?
Yeah, go on then. Yeah, you can have that one.
No, thanks.
Yeah.
That's very good.
That's yours. Good, yeah. If you are watching live, drop a little comment so we know that you're here. Say hello, say hi. Let us know where in the world you are right now. Are you in Reading? Are you in the opposite office to Mark? Are you in beautiful exotic Birmingham where I am? You should let me know. Let's have a look at the comments. No one's watching, that's fine. Good. So, right, what do we want to talk about today? We were talking about 5G.
Yes, you were talking about 5G, weren't you? And it made me think about how, well, not just 5G, but all sorts of technological advances in the telco space might impact customer experience. Yeah. So if you speak to a lot of people about 5G, I mean, all right. Let's take an example. If I asked you about 5G, what would your first thought be, James?
Fast.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. And that, on the face of it, that is probably the big thing that, from a customer point of view, it's being sold as 5G. It's going to be able to provide you faster connectivity, which is, it's fantastic, and it leads to obviously, hopefully, some cross and LSEP opportunities for the customer, and they can provide you, if you move to that service, a better experience with your well, I was going to say telephone calls, but you're not really going to make you're not going to be able to talk faster, are you? No, it's really about data speeds and what you can do with that sort of thing. So yeah,
it's quite weird, isn't it? Like mobile phones, the least thing I use them for now is actually making phone calls.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I suppose you can't really have a faster conversation, can you? But you can download information. Yeah, I suppose you could. You can download information. But it's interesting. So if we work some of the markets that we work across here, like the US, for example, they're very regionalized in the telco operator. So you have somebody who can provide maybe your broadband service in, I don't know, Atlanta might be one provider, but they're the only provider that can provide you that because they're the only people who've got cable. So you're a bit stuck with them. Now 5G gives you faster data speeds. there are people starting to sell 5G as the way to get your broadband. You know, if you've got a fast enough speed and a reliable enough speed, then you start to get competition in markets and different experiences that customers can have. You know,
that's really cool. I mean, it reminds me of, actually, it's got to be about
this
2
isn't another
years.
Batman story, is it?
No, it's not the Batman story.
Okay, cool. That's good.
Everyone
Okay.
loved the Batman story.
Yeah, they did. They did. Good point. Yeah, it was good. Yeah.
But it must have been about 2, maybe 3 years ago now. There was a telco in the States. I won't name them, but they rolled out 5G, but it wasn't really 5G. It was like 4G.
And a
like
bit.
a bit extra. It was like new 5G, like 4G, apart from we've changed the name. That was, and there was a bit of uproar about it because, of course, people were like, "Oh, are we going to get 5G now?" And they're like, "Well, no. It's what did they call it? They gave it like it was like 5G." Oh, they gave it an extra
did
name.
they call it like 4.5G or something like that,
It was something like that.
Yeah,
but it was
yeah.
There was there was like an
Oh,
extra
right.
letter. Like
so they didn't break any rules. Yeah.
No, it was like 5GN. The N stands for not really 5G, or something like that. Should we say hello to some people that have actually commented? John
Cool.
says hello from Las Vegas. Beautiful. Wow, look at that picture of him playing on stage.
That is much better than Reading, I have to say. Yeah.
John's a cool
Sorry
dude.
for people in Reading, but I have to say I think Las Vegas is better. Personal opinion, obviously.
Yeah. So John, weirdly, John used to be the chief evangelist at Zappos.
Did he? Wow.
Yeah, good friend. Next time I'm out in Vegas, mate, we shall get together. We have got Kyla, who says hello from sunny London. She's from VMO2. It wasn't VMO2 that lied about the 5G before.
Good.
Don't worry, there's still time. You still can. And we've got Andy from lovely Hemel Hempstead who's watching.
Oh, nice.
So if you are watching and you can hear us, feel free to drop us a little comment. If you got any questions as well, because you got someone here who knows loads about customer experience, you got someone here who knows loads about telcos. If you got any questions about the combination of that was good. I knew which way to point.
You did. It's very good. Yeah, you've experienced this now. Yeah, rockstar.
Basically, let's be honest. So when it comes to 5G, you say the first thing that pops into my head is faster.
Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
And just how much faster is things going to be?
You know, well, so this is where you get interesting. So there isn't just one 5G really, and that's where it becomes. So this is where we can sort of, I don't know, peel the onion or get the nuances of this. I think I sent you a picture, didn't I, James? I don't know whether it's worth popping it up there. Let's pop it up. Yeah,
the ice cream.
Yeah, the ice cream one. I thought it was a really good way of putting it. That I found this on the internet, like the 3 flavors of 5G, because ultimately there isn't just one 5G, and I quite like this sort of Neapolitan analogy that they were using here of the 3 different flavors that you can have within the sort of scoop that you get. So ultimately, the really fast stuff is the high band stuff. So the sort of shorter the frequency technology, the quicker things can go. So this is where you can have super fast, multiple times faster than we've currently got at the moment. And this is the sort of stuff that can compete with broadband as sort of like, an internet replacement. So you could do that sort of thing. But the challenge with that is it doesn't travel very far. So you have to have lots and lots of towers, lots more towers to provide coverage for that. So there's an element of they're going to have to roll out more towers to provide, say, cities and towns with this super fast broadband. At the other end,
how much space do the towers make up? Like, can you have like small? Because I did see something before about people almost having like individual cell phone towers, or like smaller ones that are more like geographical. Like if we're needing to put out loads and loads of new towers, is that going to take up a lot of space, or are there smarter ways now of doing this?
Yeah, there are smarter ways. So you can get them, on the side of buildings, small versions of these, so that you don't have to have a traditional massive steel tower somewhere. Like you said, there is discussion, there is talks with some of the operators around, could they put small cells into broadband routers and have a sort of network of very small cells running around that provide that sort of that coverage that would be necessary. So there's all sorts of things going on, but ultimately you need a higher density of towers to be able to get the coverage that you need for that really fast operation. And that from a customer experience point of view, like I said, is going to provide. If they can get that density of well, I won't say towers, I'll say masts, for example, because obviously they could be on the side of buildings. Then you can provide people with almost like a cable-less fast internet service. And obviously that does help when you're on your mobile phone because you can provide it, but it also means you can very quickly and easily swap providers and get an equivalent speed when it comes to your home broadband, because you don't need to, I don't know, change from in the UK. Most of us have got a BT cable in our house, but if we wanted, I don't know, Virgin Media fiber, for example, we had a lady on saying she was on from BMO2. You traditionally needed to be on the Virgin Media cable to your house from Virgin Media's network. Maybe Virgin Media, now that they're joined with O2, can provide you with an O2, 5G hub, and you put that in your house, and you're on their network, and you've moved to them as your broadband provider. So
that's really cool.
So that from a end customer experience provides a great experience. And then I suppose if we then look at some of those things, there is the ability for let's say your traditional agent in the contact center or your agent in a retail store needs to understand the possibilities of these different services and have systems that help them understand if James could be when you finally move home, James, maybe you could be a target for some of these services. Yeah. Maybe by the time you've moved home, they'll be all available everywhere. Yeah.
Hopefully. Yeah. So how many flavors have we covered now? Hang on.
Well, we just covered the one really. I suppose that's the high band, and that's the sort of, I don't know, that's the one everybody talks about because it's the great one about the speed. At the other end, if you think about low band, as they call it here, the vanilla flavor, this is a low frequency, but therefore allows you to travel further. You can have receivers, for want of a better word, or devices connected further away from masts and from the transmitters. So, but you don't get as high a data throughput. So this is seen as the sort of thing that could be used for the Internet of Things. So when
does that mean it's slower?
Yes, exactly. It's slower throughput. But if you've got, say, I was speaking to an operator the other day who were talking about connected agriculture. So having sensors in fields that can tell them, is the ground too dry, are the sprinklers running, and all that sort of stuff that could be in the field in the middle of nowhere, and you're not going to have a mast close to that. So you want something that travels a long distance, but those things they're not sending huge amounts of data. They're sending little bits of data, so you don't need that massive throughput. So you've got the ability to effectively think about those sort of cases that can now be powered by the network and the telcos. And there's an expectation that when we finally get 5G in, you'll get a massive number of other things that can be connected to the network. Because of that.
Because that's an interesting point. Because I'm thinking, so 5G is going to be lightning fast. You'll be able to download every movie ever created in 20 seconds.
Stream your Netflix without having to download things before you go and all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
It makes me think, like, how much faster could you get? But I think that's maybe the wrong question, because it's not necessarily about how much faster can you get. It's how much more load can it take. And if you are doing things like, putting sensors in all over the ground on a field that's got hundreds of acres, or like a farm that's got hundreds of acres, there's a lot of, I imagine, bandwidth that is that the correct word? Am I using
could be using it. Yeah, exactly. But then some of the clever things that further down the 5G sort of capabilities are the sort of time. They talk about time slicing. So how can you basically have a network that can cope with all those thousands of devices? And they're doing some clever things in the network where you can swap between one device to another and share a capability between multiple devices. So they don't all have to be connected. They could all send in different slices, which is some of the clever things that they can do to create that capacity in the network as well.
Okay, cool. So they're not always on, but they're figuring out when do I need to be on.
Yeah, exactly. And the network is that, because you don't need to send data from a sensor all the time, do you? You could send it, at a frequency of once a few seconds or something like that. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
And then you've got so the other thing that the network has got sort of built into it is this ability to have different qualities of service and that sort of thing, and have different latencies. So you may be providing a service for somebody who's use a gamer as an example. So you need a low latency thing because you want, you're doing your shoot 'em up or playing FIFA or whatever it is, and you need the things to happen in near real time. But other people might have services that don't need that level of near real timeness. So you can have different qualities of service through the network as well in that way.
Well, I was going to ask you about latency. I've actually written down the word latency because, for example, during COVID, my band, we couldn't practice because of COVID. And of course, you can't do it online because of the latency. You can't all play at the same time. Do you think with 5G, it's going to give us essentially near real-time ability to be able to play quite complicated songs together and practice? Do you think that's a possibility, or do we need to wait for 6G for that?
Well, yeah. So I think my answer to that is it will give us the ability to provide services that can do that. Yeah. Now, it might not be the default service that's low latency. It might be that the default service is similar latency to what we've got at the moment. But you, as somebody who needs that for your band practices, might pay for a service that gives you that low latency, and the telco provider could provide you that. Yeah. So that's,
again, it'd be cool because I imagine that'd be more expensive if it'd be a case of, if I need that once a week, for example, I'm not going to want to be paying for it 100% of the time.
Well, that's exactly it. So then we get into how that could impact the services that the telco then again provide to its customer. So like you say there, you may say, I'm not in a band, so I don't need that service. So I'm happy with standard, 5G with latency like it used to be, the sort of, I don't know, maybe we'll call this the chocolate version because it's maybe mid-band or whatever it is, that sort of thing. Whereas you, I don't know, let's say Mick Jagger might want 5G ultra low latency all the time because he's always, practicing with his band because that's what he does day in, day out. Whereas you might say, actually, I want to buy a service, or can you provide me a service that gives me 4 hours a week of that low latency service that I can have maybe, I don't know. Could the telcos provide it where you can say, actually, go onto a portal and go, I want it between 6 and 7 tonight because that's what we're doing. That's my first chunk. Yeah. I don't know. It opens the market up to these sort of services that I think that could be unique and differentiated, but it also therefore complicates the customer engagement, customer experience sort of thing. Because like I said, do we need to build? You don't want to have to ring up your Vodafone or whoever it might be that you're getting services from and going, can you switch it on tonight at 6 o'clock for an hour? You want to have an app to do it, or you want to be able to go to a portal to do it, or you want to. That's the thing. Schedule it. Yeah.
Or it knows the service we're using and knows that that's what we need, and it just automatically. And I suppose that's the thing, isn't it? Because 5G is going to open up the world of completely new products and services that are available. We're really going to need new products and services from the telcos, and new experiences and new ways of being able to almost customize these products and services from them in ways that we just never needed before, and so subsequently never thought about before.
Yeah. Well, that's it. You'll get to the point, I think, where technology is able to provide these services, but can the companies deal with providing these services? You know what I mean? Do they have the systems and because ultimately, if we go back to that example where you need it 4 hours a week, you're talking about, I'll pay a bit extra for that. But how do you differentiate what I pay for the standard service versus what you pay for the extra 4 hours or 6 hours or whatever it is? It's going to get interesting, I think, once these technologies get rolled out more and are available more. And I think there is this understanding in the market at the moment that nobody really has got the killer services or the killer things that will really be the thing that makes 5G come alive, so to speak, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean the other slide that you had. Oh no, we haven't spoken about toppings.
Oh, what was that? Yeah, let me have a look at the toppings. Yeah. So yes, no. So that's I suppose that's the latency, isn't it? And the Internet of Things, like I said, and the extra bits that you might want on top of that. Yeah. And that's where I suppose I suppose that's ultimately that's what we've been talking about with the toppings, isn't it? That topping, one of those toppings might be you having your 4 hours of ultra low latency a month or week or whatever it might be. But it's I think it's going to change the way that telcos market. It might change the way that they bundle things. It might change the way they think about things. Like you said, I think the ultimate thing would be, we're using a streaming technology now. Wouldn't it be great if your network went, oh, streaming technology, I need to be a bit lower latency for this, and as soon as you sort of open the app, it did it, and then maybe that drew down some of your credit that you've got for that ultra low latency. Or maybe you get to the point where the people providing you this subscription for this streaming technology, actually they go to Vodafone and they buy the time, and as part of your subscription you get so many hours of it. So it could complicate things, and it could be that you're
that's a great question. It's who should shoulder the cost of that? Should it be on the B2B customer, or like the consumer, the B2C person who's like the end user of it? And that's a great question, and I think it will come down to probably choice. A company will be like, you know what, we're going to shoulder the cost of this. We'll probably, I mean, don't get me wrong, we're always going to shoulder the cost of it because the cost is going to be passed to us. But me knowing that, okay, I don't necessarily have to go into my app and mess about to be able to do that. They've already dealt with that as a premium service. Maybe that's the thing. But it does bring me on to a question around cost. With these speeds getting faster and faster and faster and faster, is it bringing the cost of, I'm going to say data, I don't know if I'm using the correct word, but is it bringing the cost of data down to produce? Do you produce data? What do you do with, like,
I don't know. I suppose do you transmit it or move it or view? I don't know. Yeah. What do you do with it? Yeah. Because,
is it bringing the cost down, or is it bringing the cost up? Because again, my understanding is going to be there's going to be a lot of investment in infrastructure to allow 5G to work. So there's going to be a lot of upfront cost, but operating cost wise, is it going to bring it down or up? And what's it going to mean for people like me that are going to want to take advantage of this?
Yeah, and that's another really interesting comment you made. I think, well, obviously there's a huge amount of capital investment, shall I say, in building the network out. Yeah, and suppose the telcos are going to have to factor that into any prices that they charge for those services. I think ultimately, in the end, once they've got that capital investment, it should be a cheaper network to run, because it should be more configurable, more easy to we talk in telco, we talk about software defined networks and software configured networks. So we're moving to that network where things can be configured and reconfigured quickly and easily. But obviously that's the ongoing cost of running the network. There is the huge capital investment in the first place to roll the network out. And I think initially some of the services on it might be a bit more expensive, and you'll find the people that only really have a need for that will probably be the ones that go first on those sort of things. But I think over time, everybody will move on to the networks, because one of the things that telcos obviously can do to cut their running costs is switch off the old network and switch off all the systems associated with the network and shut down all the hardware and that sort of thing, and not run the equipment, those sort of things. So there will be a point at which they go, actually, we don't want to run 2 or 3 or whatever it is. Some of them are still running 3G networks, but they don't want to run those other networks. They want to move everybody into 5G. So yeah, there will be that. But yeah,
it scared me there for a second, because I was thinking, if they shut down 4G, that's me screwed, because I've only got old. I hate new phones. About me. I hate getting new phones. I used to love it back in the day, like when I was a teenager or whatever, and you'd look in the Argos catalogue, which is, I don't know what the American version of that is. It's just like a catalogue. Yeah. And you're like, oh, that new phone, look at the games it's got. Oh, £60 for a phone. Oh, it's quite expensive. But you know what I'm going to say? I'm going to get that one. And I get really excited. But now, because of so much of my life being on a phone, the thought of getting a new phone absolutely terrifies me. And I really don't want one. But my phone's starting to fail, I think, due to purposeful built-in redundancy. Thanks, Apple.
But you raise a good point there, which is obviously your 2-year-old, 3-year-old, 4-year-old phone, whatever it is, knows nothing about 5G. it can't connect to a 5G network. So when we get to the point in a few years' time when 5G is there and then operators are thinking, we'd like to get everybody onto 5G, so we should on 4G network, there will be a need to encourage people to upgrade their handset to one that can connect to the new network. Yeah.
So the question is, why? Why can't my 4G phone do 5G? And I'm sure there's a very smart answer, but I don't know. And therefore,
well, it all comes down to the way, just basically the way the network works and the technology and all that sort of thing. So you need a different chipset and you need different technology to connect to the networks, unfortunately. And this is
it a hardware update? Or
yes, it is. It is a hardware update. Yeah, it's a hardware update. So there's nothing that Apple can do or Google can do in their operating system to make it, make your phone magically appear on a 5G network when it's, an iPhone 7 or whatever it is. Yeah.
So what I'm thinking is, I heard a story the other day about how Tesla pushed a new update to their cars, and they managed to give a hardware update from a software update. They managed to turn and I don't know the specifics, so don't at me, but they managed to turn some sensors into cameras. And what it allowed them to do is on the dashboard, when you indicate left, it used one of these sensors that's now a camera to show the blind spot on your dash in front of you. So you indicate left, it brings up your blind spot so you can see it. You indicate right, it brings up the blind spot so you can see it. So the way Tesla have created their cars is allow them to be updated when things update. Do you not think the phones of the future are going to need to be that way, built so that they can be updated over the air, just like cars are now starting to be? Or is there going to be an expectation that people aren't going to be keeping phones for that long?
I think you're right in the second one. I think the expectation is, as a car driver and iPhone user, I expect my car to last 6, 8, 10, 12 years if I want it to. I can upgrade it obviously if I want to. Whereas I probably expect my phone to last 3, 4, 5 years, before I need to upgrade it. And yeah, I think there's been an expectation set. I mean, I imagine, I imagine the Samsungs and the Huawei's and the Apples of the world would want you really build their business model on you buying or the majority of people upgrading their phone regularly. So they want that throughput of new phones and people buying new hardware. Whereas, Tesla probably don't expect you to buy a new car every 18 months. So yeah, I think there is just a different cycle to buying at the moment. Now, whether that will change, like you said, and whether, like all things, maybe Tesla disrupted the car market. Maybe somebody will come and disrupt the phone market and come out with a upgradable phone that, that can do over the air sort of updates in that way. It'll be interesting to see whether that's possible. I mean, at the moment, I think because, the frequencies tend to change and those sort of things between the phones, you need antennas and those sort of things that can pick up different frequencies. But, if they start to reuse the same frequency bands for next technology, maybe somebody will come up with a clever way of doing that. Yeah.
Well, maybe someone will come up with a modular phone where we've made a new improved camera. You don't have to get it if you want, but if you do, click here and buy it. It comes to you. So you take the old camera out, put the new one. Oh, it's much better. Or here's a new screen. You slide out the old screen, put the new one in. Or if you want faster things, you need a new fancy chip.
Yeah, transmitter. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we've got one of those. Yeah, more memory. Plug that in. Yeah, maybe. It's like I remember building one of my first computers in the same way. Oh, I need your more memory. Open it up, put the memory in. I can't do that with my MacBook now.
I'd love that.
Yeah,
loads of people would absolutely love that. I'm not one of them. I'd be like, no, I'm gonna break it. Don't. Yeah. But it's like, so it's the difference between me and my wife's dad, for example. He loves phones that he can get in and change the code and do all fun stuff like that.
Yeah.
Whereas but the thing is, so I bought a Samsung ages back, and it came pre-programmed with 3 different browsers. You had their own, the Google, so it had Chrome, it had Firefox, and it had some other one, but Safari.
Yeah.
No, not Safari, because that's the Apple one. Some other one, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Internet Explorer. I doubt it. Let's be honest. It's not going to be Internet Explorer, is it?
No, definitely not. No.
And I'm why have you given me 3? Just choose the best one and give me that one. I don't. don't make me choose. And I suppose this does bring the conversation round full circle to this almost relatively modern idea of taking away choice for customers, not giving customers 58 different possibilities and 58 different plans that they could possibly have, because it's got to the point now where as customers we're having to make so many choices every day with everything we do, and we're getting choice fatigue. I've just made up that term, so like I'm going to copyright it, so there you go. But we are getting choice fatigue, having to make so many choices every day. It is tiring. And it's like when I go grocery shopping, I specifically choose the stores that have less option because I can get around quicker. It's less taxing on my brain. I don't have to go, let's look at all of these 48 different types of ketchup and decide which is the right. It's ketchup. You just get it. It's just there. That's what I prefer. So I think, but it's this idea of simplification, simplifying the choices we're giving customers. And with the overwhelming possibilities that 5G are going to allow, how are telcos going to square that circle, do you think, of giving simple options that actually allow for these multitude of different lifestyles?
Well, I think what they've got to do is turn or I don't know what I was going to say, turn simplification into personalization, but link simplification to personalization. So, telcos know a lot about us from, how we use our phone, what apps we've got on them, what data we use, those sort of things. If they use that data well to understand you, James, and you need these services and they can personalize their offerings to you and give you less choice, but knowing that choice is between option 1 and option 2, the 2 types of ketchup that they are most likely to be the one that you want to choose, instead of the 48 different varieties that there are, and just bring it down to 2 or 3 options and get you to choose between those, using what they know about you, your likes, what data you use, maybe how you use your data, what apps you're interested in, and that sort of thing.
How on earth, like, what software could possibly exist that they could use that would help them do that in their companies?
To do real-time personalization. I don't know. I'll look that one up for next week, shall I? Yeah. Nice hat, by the way, James. That's
cheers, man. Thank you. Nice, I got it. It's from Pega Systems, Pega.com. Yeah. But no, I mean, people are going to be like, wow, that didn't seem like it was planned at all, but it must have been. But no, it
didn't.
But for me, it's a mindset shift, because a lot of companies, when they're thinking about simplification, I think honestly, they're thinking, how do we simplify what we do? Into how do we make life easier for us as a company? When really there's an argument to be made that they should be thinking, well, how do we make life simpler for the customer? And realizing that making things simpler for the customer is going to have a knock-on effect to them internally, because you've got to think no work in a company would happen, no processes would exist if it weren't for a customer interaction at some point. Every single customer interaction creates more work internally, creates more cost, creates more time. So if you, rather than taking that inside out view, have the outside in view of going, let's look at the customer's experience. How do we simplify that? You are going to, as a result, simplify things internally. And I love this idea of personalization, because I think what happens is, and there's millions of stories of this, when companies think, let's simplify stuff for us, they go for standardization, which is an industrial age mindset. So they try and standardize, and then they try and give the same things to every customer because they've standardized internally. Whereas if they move away from process standardization and towards experience personalization, there could be a billion different products that they have internally. However, the customer only gets presented with 2 of them, but they're the best ones. They're the ones that will achieve the needs of the customer, and they are the ones that are going to help achieve successful outcomes for the customer. So I absolutely love that idea of really getting simpler by getting more complex, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, simpler by delivering complexity better. Almost, or maybe that's it. Yeah.
But it's having the ability to, because the thing is, it's a scary thing, and you need the ability to handle that complexity and understand that the world is only going to get more complex. It's
Mhm.
the world isn't going to get simpler just by us sitting there hoping it gets simpler. It's only ever going to get more complex as customers' needs and expectations evolve every single day.
Yeah.
It's going to get more difficult, and we need to be able to harness that and use it in a way and be that company that can, create harmony out of the chaos, that can create simplicity for the customer out of the
Yeah.
chaos. Pegasystems. What?
Nice one there. Yeah, and you're right, and that's just, and I think last time we did this, we talked a little bit about mergers and all that sort of stuff, and you can add whole other layers of complexity in there, can't you? When you go, actually, well, we've got, I don't know, we had the lady on from VMO2, which is a merger. The two sets of systems and two sets of products and two sets of things all mashed together to add that level of complexity. All of which really, in an ideal world, you should be, like you said, thinking outside in and thinking, how do we hide all that from the customer and how do we make their lives, their outcomes easier, which has a knock-on effect of making it easier for us to fix all of the stuff that we need to fix as an organization. So yeah, instead of simplifying inside out, which is a great way of looking at it, simplify outside in first. Yeah,
I think you're right. It's about the companies shouldering the burden of that complexity, understanding that things are going to be complex, and saying, we're going to take that on. We're going to look after that for you. We're going to straighten it out. We're going to make it simple, and to make sure that your life is as easy as possible. And I think the more companies that start doing that, better life is going to be for everyone.
Yeah. Wow. That's a big thought for the day, James. Yeah.
Well, I think on that, we can probably finish today's Telco Tuesday. So thank you, everybody that tuned in and watched it live. Thank you, everybody watching the replay as well. Thank you for everybody that got involved and asked questions and commented. If you did like this, I'm going to ask that you drop a little comment, drop a little like, maybe even share it. Tag someone that you know that works in a telco. Tag someone that you think would enjoy hearing the messages that we've spoken about today. I'm going to say as well, though, if you do want to hear about how Pega can help you deliver amazing customer experiences to your customers, hit us up, drop us a message. We can arrange a call and talk about that. And also, what I am going to say as well, I'm getting lots of requests for this at the moment. If you would like me, or I'm throwing you under the bus here, Mark, or Mark to come, I'm pointing the right, or Mark, rookie error, or Mark to come and talk at one of your events, not about Pega, but about the future of customer experience, where customer experience is going, the mindsets and principles that make amazing customer experiences, just let us know, virtual or in person. We would love to come and do it. The one thing that ties everybody at Pega together is a love of customers, a love of customer service, a love of customer experience, and we want to spread that passion around the world. So if you want us to come and talk at either an internal event or an external event about that stuff, then hit us up. No promises, but we'll talk. So on that, is there anything else you want to add?
No, it's great. Thank you very much, James. Another good session.
Great stuff. Well, thank you for tuning in to another Telco Tuesday, and we will see you all on another Tuesday at some point, I guess. That's it. What a strong ending.